How long do you think it takes to be fully indoctrinated into a cult? According to this movie, it can be done in a matter of days. Also known as Zephyr Springs and a deadly game, this is Deadly Spa. I'm Jay Harangue and I've wasted hours of my life watching terrible films.
You should subscribe.
This is Dawn and her daughter Kyla. Dawn and Kyla's dad are separated and Kyla is annoyed because her mum is always working.
Oh no!
She's like, Mum, I think it's about time you took a vacation. And oh look, in the foyer there's a big advert for a spa retreat called the Souce.
This looks expensive.
But then she looks at a couple of reviews and says, yeah, all right, let's both go. And Kyla's like, okay. An unspecified time later.
This place clearly looks nothing like the website, Mom.
That's because you're in a car park miles away from the actual resort.
You little whore.
They're not going to put photos of that on their website, are they?
No.
But hey, why not get a selfie anyway? Yeah. And here's their ride to the resort.
Welcome to your best decision.
It's in this minivan that we find out that there's no cell service this deep in the canyon. Oh look, there's archery. I wonder if that's going to be relevant later. And here they are. The resort is amazing. And here's David James.
Hi.
He's in charge. He greets the new arrivals, but only speaks to Dawn and Kyla. He seems to ignore the other guests, as they're not the main characters. Ooh, these two hotel employees look like they're up to something. David takes the new arrivals on a tour.
Welcome to your best decision.
They walk past this woman who has a hamstring injury, and David miraculously heals her.
It's much better. You are amazing, David.
You're amazing.
Yeah. David tells the guests that they need to leave their cell phones in these lockers for the entirety of their stay.
Are you serious?
Your mind and body will thank you, trust me.
Then they go on a tour of the grounds and David is banging on about spiritual nonsense. Hanging round on the road by the minivan are these three. Brett, who drove them there. Siddhartha, who I'm going to be calling Sid.
You two have an excellent aura.
Whatever.
And that's Lori. She's our top administrator.
What are they doing out here? No idea.
Anyway.
When they get back to the hotel, David tells them there are group activities planned for tomorrow, but until then, relax.
Welcome to the source.
Dawn and Kyla go for loads of treatments, and Kyla is laughing at the spiritual nonsense of some of these pamphlets.
Just keep an open mind this weekend.
Later in the pool, we find out that Dawn and Kyla have these necklaces. Each has half a heart on it, and when they put them together, it makes a full heart. Yeah. I wonder if they're going to be relevant later. Then they go for lunch, but of course all the food is vegetarian.
Ew.
I'm gonna wrestle you up a burger.
That would be great. Thanks.
Don't tell no one.
Dawn's like, ooh, Brett is cute. And Kyla's like, yeah, Mum, I don't need any more drama in my life. That evening, Dawn and Kyla go for a sauna. After they finish, Kyla goes to grab something from her locker, and she sees this.
David, I made a mistake.
Shut up.
Please.
It takes years to build up trust. And unfortunately, seconds to tear that down.
I'm sorry. It won't happen again.
My goodness.
David knows someone's seen him and goes after her, so she hides in the sauna. He traps her in there with this broom, while Sid kills the disloyal employee. Luckily, Kyla has managed to escape the sauna and goes back to the room. David follows her and he's like, oh, sorry, Kyla. What you saw was me sacking an employee who was stealing from the guests. Dawn's like, David, she was trapped in the sauna. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll have it fixed then. The next day, it's time for the group activities, and the first thing is a hike featuring David's spiritual nonsense, followed by breakfast. Kyla spots Brett and asks him what happened to the burger he promised her yesterday.
Sorry, I got held up with work stuff.
Oh yeah, that guy got fired.
Which guy?
He was stealing from the guests.
Brett's like, oh, yeah, that guy, just eat your breakfast. So clearly Brett knows that David has been up to no good. Now it's time for the next activity, archery.
I call these truth arrows.
Of course you do. I'd probably just call them arrows, but I suppose they had to find some link between archery and spiritual nonsense, or the plot wouldn't work.
Yes.
David has also somehow managed to link archery to the guest's childhood dreams.
What?
He asked this guy Al what he wanted to be when he was younger, and he says he wanted to be a rock star. Then he asked Dawn.
I always wanted to be a dancer.
What about you?
Motivational speaker?
Don't hide behind the sarcasm.
She's like, whatever, David. Dawn is shit at the archery, but Kyla is a natural. Back at the source, David is giving Dawn a massage. Dawn is absolutely loving it.
God, you cannot be this good.
I really just am.
We don't actually see Dawn rubbing one out under the towel, but it's certainly implied. Now this is a highlight. Remember Al who said he wanted to be a rock star earlier?
Yes.
Well, this evening he's going to be singing to all the other guests with his wife on tambourine.
All my fears have flown away.
Oh, dear.
Sadly, we hear the entire song. Obviously, it's awful, but the other guests are absolutely loving it, as it seems are the staff. Now it's time for Dawn to show David her skills, and then they dance. Al has finished his song, so now it's Sid the Murderer's turn.
There are 1,000,000 roads in this world that I've walked down.
That's quite enough of that. Brett then approaches Kyla and bangs on about how amazing David is.
I mean, it'd be pretty cool to work here.
You should. You should.
Calm down.
You should.
He seems pretty keen. He explains that he'd love another young person to live there, especially a girl.
I'm an idiot.
Over on this daybed, David asks Dawn why she's not found a new boyfriend yet.
I've been searching and searching.
You'll search no more.
Kyla's noticed her mum getting on with David and she's not happy. It's unclear whether it's because she suspects that David is dodgy or that it's just because he's not her real daddy. Either way, she's in a mood, so she heads up to her room.
You need to see this.
What is it?
Are you okay?
Brett hides this note in his pocket, but when Dawn and Kyla go back to their room,
What's in the pocket?
It's nothing.
Give it to me.
She's a sweet girl and I like her, okay?
we don't see the note, but David tells Brett that he'll kill him if he tries anything like that again.
Okay.
When they get to their room, Kyla's like, Mum, we need to leave. But Dawn's like, look, I really want to shag David, so we'll leave tomorrow if you still want to. The next day on this hike, everyone's talking about how amazing David is.
Had a meeting with David this morning and we wrote a song together. It's actually pretty decent.
He's got a gift. You don't run into that too often these days.
That's exactly it.
Isn't David amazing?
He really is.
Oh, come on.
This is ridiculous. They start meditating and David jumps into some water. Everyone's acting as if this is the bravest thing they've ever seen, even though it's not that much of a drop. Then Dawn does it too. She gets a round of applause and says, wow, thanks, David. I've never done anything like this before in my life.
Okay.
Back up top.
What's happening here?
He'll never let you go. He wants to own you. He'll drain your bank accounts, people's life savings. You guys gotta go.
Hey, Brett. Forgetting about all the other guests.
When they get back to the hotel, Kyla goes for a walk. When she gets back to the pool, she's like, there's a dead body in the creek. Sid the murderer runs off while everyone else is like, oh, come on, Kyla. There isn't a dead body. But David agrees to take a look.
Listen, I have EMT training. I can help.
She said a dead body, Al, not someone having an asthma attack. Down at the creek, David and Laurie are telling Al that they reckon Kyla was imagining things, while meters away, Sid the murderer is dragging what is clearly a dead body into the bushes. David goes up to Dawn and Kyla's room and tells them he didn't find anything, but Dawn's like, can you call us a ride anyway? I think we'd better go. And he's like, yeah, no problem. Kyla's like, he's not going to let us leave, Mum. And Dawn's like, don't be ridiculous. But David takes Dawn to one side and convinces her not to leave. Kyla knows exactly what's going on, so she packs her stuff and leaves on her own. But not before she's gone into David's office, taken a photo of him on her cell phone, and leaves a note on it saying, if you find me dead, this is who killed me. She calls 911 from his office phone, but has to hang up because David has come back. While she's hiding, she hears the 911 operator call back and ask if everything's okay. He's like, yeah, it's fine, but he clearly knows Kyla's been in there. When he leaves, she goes for the phone again, but he catches her and drags her into this meeting room.
He's not gonna let any of you leave.
Kyla is coming from a place of fear and paranoia.
Then David starts with the bullshit again.
She's built up these walls, coping mechanisms, complete illusion, experiencing highs.
I'm really struggling to work out how David has managed to get this entire room full of people to go along with this. The staff I kind of get, but most of these people are guests who've been there for about 3 days. Even her mum's in on it. How desperate can she be to fuck David? After all that, Kyla's like, Mum, I'm definitely going now. You can either come with me or not. You're probably wondering at this point why Kyla's not told her mum about everything she's seen and heard. Well, because plot. Dawn's been completely brainwashed anyway, so Kyla makes a run for the road. But on her way out, Sid the murderer gets her with the chloroform. David tells Dawn he's going to send people out to look for her, but they've actually taken her to this brainwashing building.
I'm not giving up on you.
The next morning, Dawn finds Kyla's special necklace in the place where Sid the murderer grabbed her. She asks David if he found anything, and he's like, don't worry, she's probably halfway home by now, but whatever you need, just come to me.
We could use a phone.
He's like, our phones are down at the moment, I'll go and see if they're fixed. Dawn suspects something's up, so leaves a note for Brett at the bar telling him to meet her in her room immediately.
We're not allowed in guest rooms. Make sure you use the coaster.
On the coaster, he's drawn a map. Dawn follows it and meets Brett.
I told her to go through the plains to the road, but I don't think she made it. If she didn't make it and she's not here, then he has her.
Where?
I think she's in there. He's gonna try and break her.
How do we get in there?
Hide, go.
David and Sid pull up and they know what Brett's been up to.
I'm so disappointed.
Sid the murderer, sorry, just Sid now because they're both at it, bury Brett's body while Dawn looks on in horror from the trees. The trees! But she stepped on a twig and Sid sees her. Oh no, he hasn't. Must have been an animal.
Yes, of course.
So Dawn is now making a run for it on the road they came in on. But oh no, David and the others have caught up to her. David's like, what are you doing out here?
Just jogging.
Sandals?
David really wants Dawn to stay at the source, and she tells him she's not going anywhere.
David, phone call.
Yeah, tell him I'll call him back.
The landlines are up.
Dawn's like, I need to call Kyla's dad. He's like, okay, go clean up and meet me in my office. When she gets there, he lets her use the phone, but only because he's there to listen to what she's saying.
We're at the Souce Spa.
Call the police!
Dawn grabs a bow and arrow and escapes. Not sure why she's bothered, because we know how shit she is with it. Sid is in pursuit, and after a chase up this hill that goes on and on and on, he catches up to her. And during this fight, she decides to throw him off the place that she already knows is safe to jump from. Oh, it's okay, he's missed the water. Dawn may have a bow and arrow, but David has a gun, and he's coming for her. Dawn gets to the brainwashing building and unties Kyla, but on their way out... Kyla grabs the bow and arrow and runs to the road. The driver helps her into the car and drives off, but David, who has Dawn tied up in the back of the minivan, runs his car off the road and grabs her. He leaves her in his car with the bow and arrow while he takes her mum into the brainwashed building. Then he hears the car alarm go off. When he goes outside, he runs back in to use Dawn as a human shield.
I'll kill her.
Don't.
As he's dragging Dawn out, he's like, good shot, Kyla, but you need to aim for the heart. When he gets outside, he goes for the gun, but Dawn kicks it away, pushes him over, and then runs back into Kyla. They go upstairs and hide, and when the light flashes in David's face...
The source.
So David is dead.
Good.
Dawn and Kyla manage to get to the road and they're picked up by this truck. Back at the source, it looks like Laurie has taken over.
Welcome to your best decision.
And that's the end of the film. So until next time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and check out this other video. Thank you.